Okay, so let's start with the roll call.
McCrager.
Here.
Wendover.
Here.
Snyder.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
King. Dubrava. Taylor.
Here. We need a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This is the section of the meeting where we allow public comments. Since we have a guest in the audience, it was opened up to you.
I've just never been to one of these, and we moved on Cass Street a year ago. So I thought I would pop in and see.
Oh, I just observed the meeting?
Yeah, I had some questions on like who local people could go to for renovation would be, but that was really my only comment.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
What's your address on Cass? Yeah, my name.
420 on East Cass Street, Ingles. My husband and I just moved there April.
Well,
I'm 405.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're the brick house with the balcony.
Okay.
Right next to the other brick house on the corner.
oh, Mary's.
Are you Mary Dillon's old house on the corner or the one next to
I
it?
think it's the one next to it.
Next
You're not
to
on
it,
the
not
corner.
on the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great,
Alright.
okay.
Well, welcome. What was your name? I think we have to have your names on.
Ann Ingles.
Okay. E-N-G-E-L-S.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And with an E?
Ann with an E.
Great. Where'd you all move here from?
My husband and I graduated from college in Saginaw, and then moved up here for a job.
Did you live in a historic district, Saginaw?
No.
Okay.
All new.
Are you thinking about doing some renovating?
Yep, we wanted to fix up the front porch and the balcony and do some repointing work on the brick. And just do some general maintenance on the yard, so I didn't know how much required approval, or if we could just repaint it, or what.
Yeah, after the meeting, Mike can give you the paperwork, but basically, if it's general maintenance, like just tuck pointing, repainting, reshingling, that type of thing, you do not need to come before the Historic District Commission. So that's just considered basic maintenance and repair, and that's not a problem. If you do anything as far as alterations go, you want to make some changes to your deck as far as the design goes, or you want to remove a window, or you want to add a doorway, or anything from the exterior that you might want to alter, then would have to come before the Historic District Commission for us to review.
Because I didn't know if like paint colors or replacing the windows from wood to vinyl would change the...
That would make a difference, yes. Changing out the original windows to vinyl windows would have to come before the Historic District Commission because it's making an alteration to historic building material, and it would probably affect the design as well. So that would be, yeah. But basically, Mike can give you some paperwork maybe after the meeting.
I can either print it, or you can stay as little or as long as you wish. I've got your name and address. If you do happen to leave, I'll mail it to you, and I will get you that information. And it has some general guidelines, and, pretty much if you have questions, just in general, this group here has more obvious knowledge than I do, and it's the type of thing where if you had a question, and you let us know, you might just have a question you want to ask Nan or somebody, and, if they know you have a question, I'm sure they get back to you without having to wait, for example, a month.
Okay.
Just answer a question.
You may want to get her email address.
Yeah, why don't we do that? And also we have newsletters that we get sent, a couple of
Yes.
past ones.
We'll get that. I'll send a whole packet, and I'm going to, if you don't mind, just, reach your email address on here.
Refreshing
I
to
was
see
just going to
that.
say.
It's refreshing to see that happen.
Yeah, it's like, if I remember right, wasn't there somebody involved in the joint, of course, a few years ago?
I'm trying to think
I think it
of
was
how.
that check notes
Do you
down.
think it was John Jones?
I thought the course we looked at was the other side was farther.
Well, that was another course,
Oh, okay.
on Chapin Street. But then, I think this Courthouse, maybe it was in, there's a gentleman from the big, and they were talking about doing something with the courts. It was about 2 years ago.
You're right. It used to be John Jones House. John used to be on the street, so his last name. And you're right, it did go back to the day.
And then I remember seeing a representative from the bank, or somebody was here and discussing, you know, what they should do with courts. I think they wanted,
Question.
whatever it was,
Right.
pretty much.
Okay. All right. Yeah, but I can't recall the details of it.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. We've got the minutes, I believe, that everybody had a chance to review those, and does anyone have a motion?
I move we accept the,
Sorry.
oh, I'm sorry.
I said, does anybody have any changes or edits?
I move we accept the minutes as proposed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Santa's actually asked me if I would email the information to her, but you're welcome to say it as long as you want.
Whatever you like. Thank you, guys. Sure.
Thanks for
coming.
stopping
Can I
by.
hear the
Thank you.
minutes discussed quickly? Yeah?
Approved?
The minutes are approved by, your motion by Ed to accept them and second by Joe. No public hearings, no new business, old business. Let's talk about the certified local government program. You all have had a chance by now to read over the materials. I guess I just want to open by saying that the advantages of the reason I was recommending certified local. And that's about it. So becoming a certified local government, what the point of this is, first of all, certified local government is a designation that you have to apply for through the State Historic Preservation Office. And it allows a community to take advantage of grants that are set aside as part of the National Historic Preservation Act. There's like a 10% of funding has to go towards these grants. These specific grants, certified local government basically ensures that historic preservation issues are understood and addressed at the local level, and that they are integrated into the local planning and decision-making process at the earliest possible opportunity. One of the eligibility requirements is that you have to have a local historic district. So you have to have an ordinance, DA 169 ordinance on the books, which we have. So basically what a certified local government allows you to do is apply for these grants that come up once a year. They come up in the spring. This is federal funds. And I had attached, for those of you that aren't familiar with this, a list of previously awarded CLG grants that have been given to the CLG communities in the state of Michigan. And I think I included about the last 5 years. So hopefully you've read through those, and you can see there's a real variance of the types of things that they will award. The grants go to either certified nonprofit organizations or local governments. They are bricks and mortar grants. Some of them can be, which is amazing because there's very few of those around. You can see that the city of Allegan, let's see, it was Belle Isle is a good one. The rehabilitation work at Belle Isle Aquarium, they applied for a grant in 2013 to do repair, repointing of the masonry, repair and paint exterior woodwork, repair and replace wood windows, make structural repairs to the tune of $63,665. City of Holland the rehabilitation and restoration of historic windows at the Holland Museum. 24 windows. Fabricated and installed custom size and color storm windows. City of Mount Clemens, rehabilitate a roof on the Mount Clemens Depot. And you can also apply to have a National Register district, the survey work done for a National Register district, for example, a consultant to do that. If we wanted to do something like that for our downtown, or to conduct other surveys, architectural surveys in the community. You can also conduct workshops. We talked about having our preservation workshops. CLG grants can fund those workshops as well for the general public. They can fund design guidelines if we ever wanted to upgrade our design guidelines or have those reevaluated. You could possibly put in a request for that. So not saying we would get any of these grants if we automatically became a CLG community, but to me, I think it's a no-brainer. I think we all take preserving the buildings in Cadillac pretty seriously. I think we've been proactive. And I think this is just one more step in that process that I think we need to be playing after role in, trying to get the city government to seriously consider this. I have a couple of buildings in mind that I'm particularly concerned about. I'm going to be doing the Wexford County Historical Society building in the museum. I would love to see a grant be written to possibly adapt that building for handicap accessibility or something like that. The buildings that are the Quonset buildings that are owned on the other side by the city that are also habited by nonprofit organizations. There's some work that needs to be done in those buildings, and I'm aware of that. This could possibly assist them. So I could go on and on. I mean, I think there's a big need, and I think this might step us in that direction. So basically, I wanted to talk about this and see, have just sort of a general conversation about what some of your all's questions, concerns, thoughts, comments might be, and what we thought we could do in order to work with the city on pursuing this recognition. City leaders.
I have two questions. You mentioned, for example, the historic museum, which obviously comes to mind. Under the 5 basic requirements, where it says there has to be an historic district commission, does any brick and mortar project have to be in the historic district?
No. This is just a basic requirement. What they're saying is you just have to have a historic district commission in the community, and you have to have a historic district in the community. But the projects do not have to be in the historic district.
Is there any oversight or any connection then to the historic district commission?
No, it would be up to the city.
Presumably, though, the city would put the responsibility back on the historic district commission to assist with this, correct?
Yeah, I think they could assist. I think they could help. Yeah.
It seems a disconnect. I mean, there's not a tie-in. I understand the requirement of having it,
Yeah.
but then if a project doesn't have to be in the historic district, it's like, oh,
Well, and then I guess the other way to think about it, though, is that there are a lot of significant historic buildings that are not in the historic district.
Correct.
So that,
Agreed.
Correct.
Agreed.
I think that what they're trying to say is they just want to know that there is a government body, in the form of a commission that is paying attention to the historic preservation.
Sure, and the requirements going about what our charge is as a historic district commission, you could see why they would make all those requirements a part of awarding a grant to a community. Mm-hmm. Open meetings and all the rest of that. But if it didn't have to be in the historic district commission, I guess I was curious about that. Then the other question, how long has this been going on?
I don't know.
And why hasn't Cadillac taken advantage of this before.
Well, I will add one thing to that.
Very long, have you?
No.
I have brought this up,
No.
many times to, you know, the city government and talking about the importance of that. At one point, and this offer is still on the table, I would even assist with writing the application, which is pretty lengthy. It wasn't exactly a piece of cake. At one time, there was a concern that being a CLG community meant that you had to hire a full-time staff person of the city or a half-time staff person of the city that was going to oversee all this. You know, I think it was a little bit misunderstood. And perhaps they had more stringent regulations 7 or 8 years ago than now. And I don't think it was much more stringent. But I think now with the way we've had to, you know, shrink the city government, it's obviously that's a ridiculous request, and that can't be expected. So I think there was some confusion about that for a while. At this point now, it's just a matter of sitting down, you know, filling out the application. And it does talk about doing some monitoring every 4 years, that they might want to, you know, sit down and monitor every 4 years. But with the city government, start what we were doing. But that's about it. Administrative work is minimal.
Well, having read the task force for the Cobbs and Mitchell building and all of those, why wasn't this considered for that? This seems a natural brick and mortar when the city had ownership.
They wanted it to go into commercial, private hands, and the city was just a pass-through for Cobbs and Mitchell at that point. So I think their interest was in getting it back into the marketplace as investors. However, if that changes...
The other thing, for instance, the Courthouse buildings, they are just sort of off, though they do house nonprofits. But if you look at Cobbs and Mitchell, if that were no longer in the public venue and it were a city property or went to a nonprofit,
Right.
once again, that's something that was revisited over time back. So there are certainly groups over there that could be in a building that was of a historic nature, you know, and contributing to the community. And the Courthouse, I don't think...
They are actually historic. They were built in the...
They are,
but...
you know what I mean?
It's not, I know, but they are. They are.
Yeah.
They do tell a part of...
But chunking money there versus you could chunk money to the Cobbs building.
Yeah,
You
and
know
I think
what
that's what you would do, is to get in
Or the Carnegie Library, or the historic streets, you know, repaving the streets and salvaging the rest of it.
Yeah, that would probably be another thing that might...
Mhm.
And that'd be great, for the infrastructure that everyone would be able to say, yes, where everyone has just a certain, you know, interest for, most people are concerned about, have an interest in that nonprofit that sits in that building, why are they putting money there, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's a good idea. So what's next? We all think it's a good idea.
Another question, I guess the first question I had, and this is from no other reason than a number of grant applications, small and large, that I've done for the city over the past year. Whereas in this particular one, and this is the big issue, is, you know, matching funds. You know, there are grants available, but, you know, very early in the application, you know, what matching funds do you have? And, you know, the classic example was the money we were getting, we've already gotten most of it from the Michigan Council for the Arts and Cultural Affairs to help with the Rotary project. And we would have had zero chance of getting that $37,500 if there hadn't already been a substantial commitment from Rotary with well exceeded. So I guess that's, you know, a question I would have, just because I don't know, is there, you know, if these are the type of grants where, you know what I'm saying, somebody's going to have to come up with matching funds.
Well, possibly, but even if they are, if people are motivated to, they will. A, and B, it's, if the grants aren't open without the certified local government designation, then, you know, there's a little point if you don't move forward.
I'm not sure that they do require matching funds, but we can certainly check that. But to me, even if...
Some of these said they did.
When I was reading the
I think it's going to be all branch must be matched with local
Okay.
funds. or
Generally, and that's pretty common, only because they want to make sure that the community's got a buy-in. You know, so it's really common, but that doesn't mean that that couldn't happen.
Yeah,
That doesn't
sure.
curtail it, because I can tell you that even 50% of the amount of money, if you need 50,000 coming up with 25, that is a lot better than 50. I mean, it makes the project a reality.
Makes it more doable.
If we had had that for the Copper Dome, that would have, I mean, that was a huge project. We were $140,000 on that deal. It would have been nice to have 75. We had 50 from the road. So you can, yeah, anyway, yeah. I
Just
think-
curious.
I don't think that's an unreasonable request. One thing I did do is I did contact the State Historic Preservation Office representative, Jessica Flores, who handles the CLG, and I asked her specifically if there were any other costs involved in this designation. She said no. I sent her the handout. She said that looks fine. That was pretty much everything we needed. No other obligations the city would have for this designation other than having a historic district, which we have in place, and that she would be willing to come up and talk to city staff / HTC, whatever we would want, if we need more information. I think it might be more pertinent to have her come up and possibly have a meeting with the city staff. But I don't know exactly how we want to handle that or what at this point. What is it, what is the city's feeling
I
on
would
this?
think city staff, but in an odd way, the group that I think would probably be most appropriate might be the downtown development authority. Because you've got so many, I mean, city staff sits in on their meetings, you
Right.
follow, but you would have a combination of downtown commercial property owners along with city staff. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what grants specifically that they would be interested in, other than maybe a National Register nomination for the downtown. So they
Well, for example, the Cobb Mitchell building definitely falls within the downtown development authority, you know, that property. I believe the museum falls just outside of it, because it pretty much, it might not, because it pretty much runs down Mitchell Street.
How many city staff would you envision being at this, if we did have such a, I mean, it would be constructive to spend the time with this expert?
3 or
Came
4
up.
max, but you'd certainly want a couple members of city council. I think city
Well-
council, I almost think city council would be more important than staff.
Well, perhaps that would be the way to go, to set up some type of a, informational meeting, where we could have her come up and...
Could we consider holding a special joint meeting, perhaps? That way it's an open meeting, public meeting, which could be advertised to get people who are interested to attend. And maybe we do a joint meeting of this body as the driver here, trying to urge it, and the city council, and maybe the DDA. I mean, I've seen those kind of joint meetings in other communities. I know you can legally do it.
You know, that I'm going to say yes. I mean, my own opinion, that wouldn't be tough to do, because one, it would be an open meeting. Judge would be, it would be an open meeting, but because no, for example, decision, meaning a vote by council or a vote by anything, it would be nothing more than like we did for the place plan project on downtown park. You know, we have an open meeting at, let's say, 5 o'clock. We found people like 5:15 rather than 7 o'clock at night, because you go home, you don't
Right.
want to leave. But, just have a open, informational meeting. You've got all of this, and basically you would invite, of course, yourself, you would invite the DDA, you would invite council, and, there would, of course, be staff here, but that's just off the top of my head, my gut feeling.
My concern, I think, is how it gets presented to council. That's the biggest thing. They gotta make the decision.
Do they have to make a decision? Does the city council have to make this decision?
Sure.
I believe so.
Sure. We have no authority to.
Staff, not us, but I thought city staff could.
No, you'd have to have council approval.
I
Yeah, but I don't think without council approval, you go to applicate, maybe not.
That was my question, I don't know either.
And I was just wondering whether it made sense, I mean, I'll say all we can do is we need to make a recommendation to city council.
Yes.
And that needs to be worded properly and positively, and I think instead of just being handed off in minutes, I think that we need to make a presentation as to why we're considering this and not ask them to vote on it the first time they hear about it. And then it might be good to have this representative that you're talking about even come up and give a 5 or 10 minute presentation to the city council once it's already once they've heard it, and she can address how the effect it has had, positive and negative, as it were, but I guess the positive effects and the responsibilities that cities have had that have done this, and hopefully then we can get that on their agenda to vote on. I mean, I think this is something that we need to let them percolate on a little bit. I do like the idea of having meetings with, some public meetings, but I also think it's still got to come back to city council, so the question is whether we get enough people at a city council meeting.
Right.
The question then, I think that's a good approach, Dean. The question then might be, could we do the first meeting as though we are asking for this? Do a joint meeting and just put it all on the table with this expert available. And then, of course, the follow-up, it's up to the city council to actually act on it once they've had time to percolate.
I guess my question, maybe Wayne can address this, is how open the city council is going to be to having another meeting. And they meet twice a month already, right?
Well, yeah,
Could we not just have a slot,
That's what I'm
info
thinking.
slot,
I think
to inform them of
get
the
on their
time?
agenda.
yeah.
If they know ahead of time and it's on the agenda, normally for public comments, I'll give 3 minutes, but if you've got something that's going to take 10, you let them know ahead of time, it's on the agenda.
Right,
You know?
but we can get on the agenda and then get some more time, but my question is, a special meeting outside of the standard meetings, I'm asking how open they are, the exceptions,
Yeah.
it could be a pain.
And my gut reaction to this was, to contact her, was because this is what she does, and having her come up and just inform us of some of the details that we may not know about, I thought would be helpful to us, to the city staff, possibly the DDA, so that we all have a better handle on it. And then, and if you want to invite city council members too, that's fine. But, just sort of like a brief presentation. And then after that, after we're sure we got it all figured out, and know where we stand on it, then do the presentation to city council.
Could we meet, ask the council to meet a half an hour in advance of their meeting, as a joint meeting?
I sure am. I will certainly am.
That might be a convenient way for them. And then, we don't tie up their agenda, we get our thing on the table together. It's a public meeting, it's unusual enough that, we might get some advance publicity and garner some interest in the community.
That is certainly an option, and would another one
Yeah,
possibly
right.
be, let council know that you're extending, let's say, a special invitation to them to please come to to your meeting, to hear a presentation, a half-hour presentation. And either way, however you folks want, I'll ask.
Well, I think we want to move on to the next step. I agree with Dean. I think we want to just make a recommendation and then nobody follows up on it. We all feel pretty strongly about this, I think. So, I think we'd like to just go ahead. What do we have to do to get, I think we need her to come up here and fill us in on the details. And as many people as we can have involved in that, the better. And then we need to do a presentation with city council for thereafter. So the question is, do we involve the city council right off the bat? And can we do that as far as before a city council meeting? It would be great. I know, and I'm thinking back now when I used to work at Michigan Historic Preservation Network and would travel around to different communities. I can remember going to some of the city council meetings and speaking to them on what a local historic district is. I was just there for exactly like the same reason she'd be here, to talk about what it is, what it does, just a general conversation about it. Few of them would ask questions, and then that was it. And then, after that, then they got their study committee together and do certain, but, that it makes sense that she could just come up, or, it'd be nice to talk to her first so that we have all of our questions answered and, can anticipate what questions might be there, but.
Where's she out of?
She's out of Lansing, but she travels. So, an early evening meeting would probably be fine.
She may have done was involved in the program in Manistee that I went to.
I'm not sure if she was there or not.
I'll look for the minutes. I guess if you talk to her, get a little information from her, I can communicate through council in Marcus and just ask council, this group would like them to take a half hour to discuss this specific topic. Individual with Chabot out of Lansing would like to come participate in it and what would work best for you? Would you know what I'm saying? Do they want to come here or do they want you to come to them?
In Lansing?
No, I mean...
you're talking about the city council, yeah, right.
Like a half hour before it started.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'm even wondering if we couldn't just, if this just seems like something that we could go to a city council meeting and say, or they'd do it before, it would be great. And we could get up there and just introduce it from the HCC and say, we think this is important and here's why. And now we've got an expert here that is going to provide you with more details that you can ask questions. And just sort of do it like as a question and answer type of a session that we can have with the council.
It might be stronger if we were to pass a resolution now asking the city council to investigate.
But do you think they will?
Well, not without us pushing it. But at least that gets it started and they know that we're interested in looking at it. We're not saying do it, we're saying investigate it.
I guess my thought is the approach is that we have to make the resolution that we want them to do it, but we don't ask them to vote on it right away. We say, look, we've passed a resolution, we really would like the city to do this. We are going to, in a presentation or two, give you our reasoning as to why. Bring some people in, we want you to think about it a little bit. We're not asking you to vote on it immediately. I think it just shows them some courtesy to be able to think it through a little bit.
That's why I said investigate.
Exactly. But I also think, my fear is if we say that it is to just investigate, then it doesn't necessarily push to a conclusion either. I would rather say, hey, here's the conclusion we'd like to see. Maybe we take a few more months than we would expect.
And help coordinate the information session.
Or if you want to put a motion basically now to say, we recommend this. We are recommending this as a very advantageous thing for the city, and we will look to information session, just scheduling ourselves or scheduling the committee, whatever, on the city council agenda to give a broader picture of what this is about, but we want to let you know about it, that this is where we're going, and we're like your involvement. So I don't know if a heads up is bad, but I have to say at least a few things that we had pushed forward to them, for them to look at and review and whatever, pretty much we sit on them. So you know, unless there's a little more nudging, and maybe that means we need to come to
Trying to get on the agenda.
Yeah, getting on the agenda, and, you know, I don't think they have a problem if we find it important to put us on the agenda, and then they can field their questions, at least with the basics of it, you know.
I mean, we could ask if that's kind of like how it goes, it has to be presented to city council, like other cities. I mean, if that's kind of the thing she asked her.
Sure.
If that's-
Will do. Yeah, I can. She said she's happy to come to Cadillac and discuss the tools and resources available for guidance program. So I can ask her specifically how she's handling about it. Yeah.
Initial.
But in the meantime, do we want to move ahead and make a motion regarding our support of this certified local government and our desire to present it to the city council for consideration? I think that's the first step.
Steps,
I'll make a motion. Is that what we're waiting for?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would make a motion that the Historic District Commission make the recommendation to the Cadillac City Council that they explore and accept the attempt to become a certified local government. Obviously, it's still an attempt because it will have to go through the application. There's no guarantee, but and that prior to voting, they allow the Historic District Commission to present how do I want to say it, the positives, the pros, the advantages of such a program, and how the responsibilities would be delegated.
Is there a second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
You know that, Mike?
We're gonna,
You did real good with that last, you did that last time, you wrote it really well.
Yeah. You got the gist of it, right?
I will say one
Watch
other
the
thing.
tape.
I have talked to, in the past 3 years, I've talked to at least 2 of the people in the city council about this, and they were quite receptive and interested in it. So, I mean,
Well,
I talked to the new mayor about it too.
It seems to me that if there's a Historic District Commission upon whom a lot of the responsibility in this will fall, and that there is not a financial responsibility from the city, why would they not do it? I can see if they thought they were going to have another employee required, but I don't think, from what I've read through this, if that's going to be an issue, but...
It's really all it's doing is opening the door to grants, period.
Yeah, right, and there's so few out there. And this is federal grants, these are federal grants. So, but they do go towards the preservation of your community, education. You know, it raises awareness for historic preservation. I think we need it, frankly. You know, as much as we try to do, I do think that sometimes I feel like our historic district, the awareness of it and the strength of it and the positive attributes of it haven't really been fulfilled here, like they could be. And I'm just trying to figure out other ways that we can continue to raise awareness in our community and recognize that historic preservation is really not theirs. Okay, I guess I should choose your word, over here.
Dean, I have a question. You used the words recommend city council explore, and you used another word also, explore and was it investigate?
Might have been.
I think you actually asked for action.
Yeah, explore and accept.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, explore and approve the application for certified local government.
Well, I'm glad 3 of the 5 of them have already heard of this from you a little bit. I think that will probably...
And then
like
prior
what
to
they were
voting,
doing.
allow the
Yeah.
historic district
Yeah.
commission to present the pros, the cons.
Yeah, as an agenda item.
Okay. Are you done, Mike? You got it?
I've got it to where you'll get something from me very, very quickly, which, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I know, that's not easy. Okay, let's talk about Cobbs and Mitchell. You handed us an update on the
Yes.
taxes. You want to go over that?
Essentially, the 2011, 2012, 2013 taxes that are delinquent totals $19,567.47. This has changed slightly from May just because of interest accruing that they owe. The summer taxes were not paid, $4,153.10. Those technically are not delinquent, they're classified as due if they're not paid come March, then they become delinquent. But the total owed is $23,720.57. Having said that, there have been numerous communications, I'm aware of at least three, here in the last couple months, to council specifically on the discussions that you folks have had on Cobbs and Mitchell building, resolutions, different things like that. And of course, you approve the minutes, so they're going to give another communication next Monday when the minutes are given to them. But there have been, I know Marcus does the weeks we don't have council. Marcus sends, bullets to council just on informational items, and I know that the Cobbs-Mitchell tax situation has even been in these communications on weeks that they don't, the following Monday have council. So they're getting the information.
Up to this point, has council said anything? Have they come up with any ideas of a plan?
To me, I would say no. They're dealing with a lot of different things. I have not been asked to provide any additional information to them at this time. But I definitely know that the city legal, they definitely are doing the homework as far as the process. So when council does say, hey, give us, the most current information, they can give them a definitive description of, possibly what it's going to cost, because that's one of the issues. But there's clearly been communication through council.
What about communication to the property owner?
Certified letter. Certified letter.
There hasn't been any more discussion with them on any type of a payment plan?
On a payment plan?
Mm-hmm.
I would not know that. I just know that Owen, when he didn't keep his word, we had the attorney present the documentation and it was sent certified letter. And at that point, the attorney, it's up to the city council and the legal staff. What we would love to have them do is send us a sizable check. But it's basically...
So you're saying that this just hangs in limbo until city council decides to do something about it, or isn't there something we're supposed to be moving forward on?
That, quite frankly, I guess might be my opinion, and I can't say.
Well,
I don't sit in there,
Yeah,
see.
but I'm trying to understand legally, a foreclosure process moves on regardless of whether city council steps in and says yea or nay. I'm just trying to understand why does that not pertain to...
No, that's,
tax delinquent.
under the tax delinquency, that happens.
Excuse me, tax delinquent.
But that's the problem here, is that none of the assessment of this property and building was attached to the property. where that point comes in. How much of the valuation went to the building and how much to the property. That's why it's not on the real estate rules. Even if a dollar value of the actual land has been on the rolls, the foreclosure process would automatically begin when they got to 3 years to 1 month. In other words, you just sold the property out from under the building for $1. My understanding, from what Owen was trying to explain to me.
He explained it to you, but I haven't asked more specifically of that.
But I think, man, this is a situation that it's kind of frustrating how long it has taken for the whole situation to come to a head. And this has nothing to do with how mistakes were made in the first place with the transfer or any of that, but rather what we're going to do about it now. And it seems to me that it's in the best interest for the council to understand they better get moving on this. As Mark raised in the last meeting, here we are coming into the winter. Okay? What happens if the utilities aren't paid for that building? I mean, what do they have invested in it? The heating bills from the last 3 years is what they have invested in. Really, I mean, as near as I can tell, on $1 to the city. So it might be in their interest. I mean, they're looking at $23,000 is owed. Maybe they just want to walk away. And I don't know, without the council taking some sort of action, saying to the attorney, listen, you go talk to these guys and rattle their cage, because something's got to happen.
Well, my understanding is that because it was an Oprah property, that made the whole tax delinquent procedure different than a typical one. Is that?
It's different in that the city who was responsible for collecting the taxes, taxes versus the county.
Right.
I mean, as far as what makes it different from that, I know the legal process, there are some differences, and that's why the city attorney, is basically going to have to put everything together. And, how much experience they have with local property.
Well, okay, but how come that process isn't being moved forward? That's what I'm not understanding. Why is that process not being moved forward?
Right now, it cannot move forward without further authorization from city council.
And I think we need to get on the city council agenda and go push them. Because they will not if we just send them another letter.
Big problem, the city doesn't want it back.
Exactly.
That's the
Well,
big problem.
Exactly. They said, "We just take
Don't
it
say,
over."
don't say that.
I mean,
That's not entirely true.
Okay.
There have been discussions, and some folks on the council, without naming who, have said, well, maybe this wasn't the right way to go, and maybe city ownership with a repurposing would work. But nothing's happened.
But even with that, how can the city have a piece of property on the tax rolls that's got delinquent taxes on it, and nothing is being done?
For 4 years.
I mean, moving forward from this point on, too. I mean, so does the city just wait for somebody to decide, gee, okay, now that the 50,000,
Right.
I guess we need to do something.
If nothing else,
I'm
I'm
just
just
trying to
legal
understand.
recourse for equitable action of the city towards the responsibility of the city council and the administration towards its citizens, because all of us pay taxes, and I'll tell you, a lot of taxes, that's
Well,
not at all appropriate.
and that
Someone be
raises-
allowed to sit there and not pay taxes, and they don't even have a slap on the wrist.
That
You know?
raises the question,
Not appropriate.
are the interest rates being applied to this the same as what I read in the fine print at the bottom of the tax bill I pay on my house?
Well, there's no question interest is accruing, because that's why the...
That's pretty steep monthly stuff once it gets delivered.
Yeah, especially with the top over here.
I mean, that when you go back this far, if you compute that, it seems to me it would be would be a lot more owed in interest than this would seem to indicate.
My difficulty with this whole discussion, I agree, I think something needs to happen. I mean, here we are again, we're a commission without the authority, and we brought it to council's attention. Is it something where we bring it to their attention every meeting, or what do we do? Because
I think we should ask to be put on their agenda, because if they don't have the face-to-face accountability with us, we are citizens of this community as well, not just members of this council. You know, and we need recourse on this as well as taxpayers. You know, it's all, there should be accountability for any citizen walking in asking about this property or any other property, you know. So I think that as a group, we should be at, you know, we should ask to go on the city council agenda and to ask them, where's the recourse here? And, you know, we've been giving, you know, we've given this to lawyers, or you have given it, and the city council has moved it to their legal team to be addressing it, but we have had no feedback whatsoever on what they've done with it. To just say, oh, legal's handling it, and there it sits.
No, but what Mike is saying, the legal department is waiting for the city council to tell them what to do. That's what he's saying.
There's no question the city council asks for the city attorneys to, you know, present us your recommendation. I'm assuming he would do that. You know, I'm assuming he would do that, and that wouldn't be a problem. But then again, part of the recommendation may simply be, okay, city, you take possession of this private property that's delinquent in taxes. We know it needs conservatively over $1 million worth of work to make it functional. What happens if, until you are able to find a new private owner, it maybe needs a new boiler system or something? You know, there's nothing in the budget that would pay for that. You see, I think I know among staff, there's a nervousness of, you know, be careful what you get, because if all of a sudden there are emergency repairs that need to be done, they may not get done if it's under city ownership, because it's just not in the budget. Does that make sense? I mean, I guess it...
Well, I just want to know what the procedure is with a delinquent taxpayer. Bottom line, there's got to be some course of action, you know, that takes place automatically.
Because this is OPRA, it is a different procedure is the problem.
And what is it?
And I think it might behoove you to make an appearance at the council and ask them this.
And to push for
Ms.
the...
Chair?
For the... push for them
I'll second that
to
motion.
make...
All in favor?
We're voting for you, Angela.
Boy, will sell tickets.
Yeah, I may have to go with the CLG thing too. I know you spread the love here a little bit.
Man, we're nominating you for chairman of this committee for 2015 also,
Yeah,
even though
right.
you've made it clear here.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
I wish I had a specific good answer, but, you know, it's a city that's governed by a city council, and when you're looking at litigation expenses and potential maintenance costs of taking on a new building, or, you know, a building, I know among staff, there's a certain nervousness of spending money just because of not seeing our budget.
Which is what staff is supposed to do. We understand that, Mike. But from our perspective as the Historic District Commission, we also are very concerned that this building is threatened. And our charge is to bring it to the council and say, hey, so we're trying to do our role, and I understand staff is trying to do theirs. I wonder if the editor of the Cadillac paper watches the meetings and reads the minutes, why there hasn't been a story in the paper that these people have never paid their taxes, and that this group has recommended that the council look at foreclosure. It seems to me that'd be a good news story.
I actually was debating about writing a letter to the editor about this. I I think, how is this for a possible, just to try to get a little bit more money on the, or excuse me, a little bit more information on the procedure part of it, to get it clear in our minds. Maybe I could schedule a meeting and just shoot it out there to everybody that wants to come to talk to possibly, I'm just asking the question, will this work? Like city manager or Owen, somebody that would have the background information on how we're supposed to proceed with this, so that we can get a better understanding on the procedure, so that we know exactly where we're supposed to be voicing our concerns.
Just a phone call for us, because if they say, hands off, we have to wait till city council
Right.
tells us to do something, then we'll say, fine, move to the next step. We need to request to be on the agenda, perhaps there's a representation of this issue to be on the agenda,
To do that, yeah, absolutely, do that too. Either way, have a conversation with the appropriate city staff on that to try to get to the bottom of what we can do, because we're of our concern. With, the thing is, we just don't want this to be in limbo and have another 25 grand added on in a year from now, or 2 years from now, 3 years from now, with interest.
The one thing I was still building is they decide those that have not have the,
Well, I can do that.
from them to just not pay, move them, or just.
We'll come to the meeting with you.
What is your name? It's Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act. It's a way to freeze your property taxes.
Part of a brownfield.
Correct.
Rehabilitation.
And then the taxes are fixed for 12 years prior, at the value of the building is prior to your improvements.
Prior to the improvements, right. So that gives them a break. Assuming they put $1 million into it, then it increases the value of the property. But for 12 years, it only goes to properties that are deemed obsolete. So you have to have that designation. Correct.
The one part of the taxes that I don't think is closing is school taxes. I believe that they've been improving the school buildings, school taxes may go up.
I don't think so.
No, okay.
Ours didn't.
Okay. Yours didn't? Okay.
No, our building was on city properties, and it was empty for 5 years or something.
Okay, well, I will do that, and then I will make everybody aware of it, and if I can get a meeting,
And if you need us to come, for some.
I'll let you know, and then, yeah.
Would you also call the newspaper editor? Tell them what our group is, you're under our bylaws of this group, you speak for the commission.
Yeah, I
So
know
I've
it,
been
but I want to
reluctant
make
to
sure I
call.
got I want to make sure I understand the
I'll talk to
process
the
and what's
newspaper
coming out.
editor.
What's that?
I'll talk to the newspaper editor.
Okay.
Our sons are on the table.
I talked to them today, but
Talked to them every day.
I
And
was
would like
reluctant to mention this.
Actually.
I think it's just a matter of asking him how
Yeah.
it can be investigated by the paper.
Okay, all right. We'll work on it, we'll follow up on that. But yes, seeing your help with it would be nice too.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? There's no tabled items. Any other informational items tonight?
No, it was just nice to see
It was
a
great.
resident who's interested, and I will email and mail her information tomorrow.
Thank you.
It'll be done tomorrow.
Okay, no other comments from the commissioners?
Just Forest Streets need to be patched with bricks.
Properly.
Properly.
All right, motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.